Time for me to talk about some football. For the first time in a while, I'm going to make a video about football because finally something happened that I can talk about. Well, maybe something's happening that I can talk about. I don't know. We don't really know all the details yet. We don't know if this is even an issue yet, but there's some buzz. People are talking about it, so let's let's go through some of the stages of grieving here, potentially. But no matter how you slice it, this probably isn't very good news. So training camps have started. I've followed it a little bit. There are people out there who follow it much closer than me. What I do know from camps in terms of positives, Golden Tate looks very good. We had quite a few highlights of him. Earl Thomas looks stellar. So, that's all good. That's all expected. Those are two competitors who are always giving 110%. And, that's all good. And, the usual things are going on. Russell Wilson looks good, but he's a guy I just have complete faith in to show up under any circumstance and play well. So that's all good and well, and I'll probably read up more about training camp stuff just to get a feel for how things are going, but that's really not what we're here to talk about. So the PUP list came out several days ago. Now, this PUP list is a little different than the regular season one in that being on the PUP list for the training camps just means you're not participating in training camps because of an injury, and at any point you can come off the training camp PUP, but once you come off you can't go back on, or something like that. Or maybe it's once you start practicing in training camp, at any point you can't go on it. So the PUP list came out, and there were two names on it that we all expected to be on it. There was Chris Clemens, who might not play to start the season. He might not play until Game 7, maybe Game 9. I don't know. I'm not too worried about that. As long as he's back for the end of the season, all is well for me. And I suspect he will be, so he'll probably miss the first couple of months of the season, and that's fine. The other name that we all expected was Zach Miller. At least I pretty much expected it. I mean, Zach Miller is a guy who had a devastating injury in the last game of the season last year after having a monster game, mind you. He was a beast in that game. And he spent this whole offseason recovering. And I think he's fine now, but I just kind of interpret this as he's a veteran. He's been here a couple years. He's played in the league several years, and he doesn't need to go out there and play in the training camps. He knows what's up. He knows how to do things. We don't need him to go out there and risk himself re-injuring it in a meaningless training camp drill. So I'm not worried about that. I think he will be out there for week 1. And given what he went through last year, it's not surprising that he's not participating in these drills. But the third name on there was one that I think a lot of us didn't necessarily expect and is alarming. And that's this continually expanding Percy Harvin situation. He's on the PUP list with an unknown hip injury. He's currently going to New York for a second opinion on the injury. And based on what I'm hearing, the news could be anywhere from it's nothing, he can practice tomorrow, to he's going to miss most, if not all, of the season. It could be anything. That's one thing that John Snyder said, I think it was this morning, when he was talking about it, that the injury could be anything. It could be absolutely nothing. It could be a disaster. So, Percy Harvin's a guy we gave up a lot to get. So, if the news comes out and it's bad, some people are going to start talking about that buyer's remorse, and probably not totally fair, but I can't call it unfair because we did pay a lot of money to get him. We gave up a lot of picks to get him, and for us to not get immediate contributions out of him would be a grave disappointment. We might look at that and go, man, I wish we had just drafted Sharif Floyd with that first-round pick we had or something, But I'm not going to freak out too much about it right now, but this is alarming. He is a guy who has had injury problems in the past. He's a guy who has all the talent in the world, but there may be some health-related risks with him. And I was really excited for the moment when he would take the field for the first time with us, and the first time he makes a big play with us. And if that moment gets put off a couple months, if not a year, then that's going to be really tough because, obviously, not only because of all the stuff we gave up to get him, but because of what we're putting in him in terms of our expectations. He's the missing piece that makes our offense that much more potent. He gives them a big play capability that the other players on this team don't necessarily give them. He was going to take our wide receiver core up from average to very good. And now we're having these problems, and with somebody who has some career past concerns with injuries and off the field problems and attitude problems, nothing terrible, but a little bit. It's disappointing to hear that this is the first thing we're getting from him, and all we can do now is cross our fingers. But I'm just gonna say it, with the stuff I'm hearing, it's tough to be very optimistic. What I will say is that as long as he's back for the end of the season, I don't mind that much losing him for the start, simply because we have capable receivers without him. They're not great, but they're capable. And as long as he's there when we need him to be there, I'll get over it. Maybe it'll kick our offense into another gear come the playoffs. But he has to be there. And we have to be there. So definitely a little tough right now. A lot of fellow fans I know are not happy about this news. I'm certainly not happy about it, but every team is going through this shit in training camps. We got the Eagles, we got the Ravens, we got the Broncos, all going through these training camp issues, and I don't know how to explain it, but it sucks. So, yeah, I'll see you guys later. That's what I got. A little somber right now, but we need our key weapon, and that's what I got.